Good morning. Welcome back to Cali Bros and Cryptos. I am Ian. That's Shane.
I'm Shane.
And we are, once again, the Cali Bros and Cryptos. And today, we want to talk a little bit about the age-old question. Why should you buy Bitcoin? You've heard it from your friends. You've heard it from your Uber driver. You've heard it from the random drunk guy at the bar who's talking about it. Why should you buy Bitcoin? And I will turn it over to Shane. Why should you buy Bitcoin?
All right. Well, I want to try to make this nice and sweet. So I've got two main reasons why you should buy Bitcoin. Number one, it gives you an opportunity to be able to actually own your finances. Every other entity in the entire world that deals with finance controls your finances for you, whether it be a bank, whether it be a financial manager, whether it be a stock brokerage, right? No matter what assets you own, unless you physically own something, like a piece of art that is hanging in your wall, Bitcoin is the only way to digitally own your assets. So that's the first thing. The second reason why, which this wouldn't work, and point one would be completely out the window if this second point wasn't true. So the second point is there is zero authority over Bitcoin. There is no country, no person, no company, no anything that controls what Bitcoin can and cannot do. It is owned by the people throughout the entire world. It has no borders. There is no specific country that says, oh, well, we're not going to let you go ahead and trade or send Bitcoin to Russia or to Ukraine or to
No borders.
another country. It has no opinion. It has no way to be able to actually be controlled. It can be regulated, yes. There's ways that, like, obviously, that you can buy Bitcoin and stuff like that can be regulated by the government. But once you own Bitcoin, you literally own it. You are in control of it. So, if I'm not one of those people to talk to if you're looking to get rich overnight, right? I'm not talking about Bitcoin as a speculation. I'm talking about Bitcoin as a technology and a way to be able to actually be in control of what you own. So that's my quick 1.5 to 2 minute spiel on why you should buy Bitcoin.
And then just to touch the other things that you've probably heard, I've heard, are number one, you can make a lot of money off it, which is true, but you can make a lot of money off anything if you know how to work it right, at least investment wise. If you want to trade gold, you can make a ton of money on it if you know how to swing trade. So
you can also lose a ton of money on gold too,
and you probably will lose a lot of money on Bitcoin, just because your emotions get too tied up in it. It's too hard to play on your emotions. So that, yes, you can make a lot of money on it. I'm invested in the technology for the long term. So yeah, that's a possibility. Number two is the finite supply. Is you only have a set amount. And to Shane's point, I think this kind of falls under the umbrella of it can't be controlled, right? Because it has a finite supply, you can't just print more of it, like the US dollar. So that proves to be a pretty strong benefit of it. What else do you typically hear?
Also, just typical supply and demand. If the supply stays the same and the demand goes up, that's naturally going to go ahead and make the price go up. Maybe not immediately, but in the long term, the less of something that you have, or the same amount that you have, and the more people who want to go ahead and buy it, yes, that is going to go ahead and end up increasing the price. Again, I'm not a huge proponent on speculating on Bitcoin, but when it comes to the technology, that is a huge benefit of what Bitcoin has to offer.
No, exactly. And I think right now, if you look at the proof of work too, I look at the proof of work system that Bitcoin offers, where you have to mine, you have to put in the work to earn Bitcoin. The system is set up. It's similar to gold in that way. You have to go out and quote unquote mine it. Not really quotes there. You have to go out and mine it in order to have it. Whereas something like, well, I guess the dollar kind of works that way now, but
Yeah. And anyone who would argue against the energy factor, I know that that's been a big, like, hot button topic over the last, like, 2 years. Well, actually, gold mining, again, this isn't necessarily something to quote because I don't know the exact consumption, but I know that gold is extremely comparable, if not higher, um, a higher energy cost to mine gold on a daily basis than it does to mine Bitcoin.
Especially
So
now. Yeah.
yeah, so anyone who's trying to use the argument that, oh, well, Bitcoin is just is a waste of energy. Well, first off, the types of energy that Bitcoin uses is generally um, it's recycled energy. They use a lot of what would otherwise be wasteful energy. So basically, gas lines that are trying to go ahead and um, pump their gas to go ahead and get power plants up and running. They actually have to go ahead and burn off some of that excess gas because we don't we don't use enough energy in order for them to go. So they have excess gas that they actually need to burn. Well, a lot of Bitcoin miners utilize this energy because a Bitcoin mining um, factory could literally be anywhere. It doesn't have to be connected to a city or a town, or it have to have wires coming off of it or anything like that. So they can go ahead and use like things like volcanoes and things like geothermal energy and excess otherwise wasted energy in order to be able to use that to mine. So that's another thing to go ahead and keep in mind when it comes to Bitcoin mining. Anyone who has the theory that it takes up more energy or it's wasteful,
For
that's
transaction, yeah.
not true at all.
And then, so the last point that I'll kind of touch on, and I'll turn it over to you, is what's the application of Bitcoin? Like, sure, it's cool to have, but isn't it just an equity? Isn't it just a security that I'm trading that I can hold like another stock on Robinhood? But why? How is it actually applied?
So, and that's actually, I mean, I feel like this is a more philosophical question than it is a tech question. So, there can be multiple applications to Bitcoin. I know um, its initial idea was to go ahead and be used as a specific currency, right? Well, we wanted to go ahead and try to transact, buy things with Bitcoin, buy things from one person to another, and just a peer-to-peer transaction without any third party getting involved. Now there are more and more third parties getting involved with Bitcoin every single day. So, I mean, I would argue that almost that the specific use case of Bitcoin from a peer-to-peer use case um, is almost a moot point right now. But I mean, if you think of the computer, right? The computer was invented not necessarily to play video games on, but we figured out that, oh, we can go ahead and design and apply this so that you can go ahead and play video games on a computer that are super realistic and getting more realistic every day, right? So, but that wasn't the original intention of what a computer was built for. I think the same thing and the same evolution is happening with blockchain technology and Bitcoin specifically. I particularly see Bitcoin being used as a reserve, being used as something to back money,
Like
not
gold.
necessarily being used um, as a specific currency itself. Now, it could be. I think that down the road, maybe we could go ahead and actually see Bitcoin being used more so in buying things.
It's like a
And
legal
I
tender.
kind of explained that in the Satoshi theory idea. But Bitcoin and the blockchain idea is constantly evolving and turning into brand new things like the metaverse and NFTs and all of these different projects that have been created based around the single idea that Bitcoin originally came up with from a currency aspect. So that's my philosophy. I think that it's going to be used more so as a reserve rather than something that we use on an everyday basis in the future.
No, I completely agree. I think that I was first introduced to Bitcoin as a concept of digital gold, and I think that's exactly what it is. we don't spend gold on a day-to-day basis. You can own gold. A lot of people own gold. There's $10 trillion worth of gold that's being
The United
gold.
States owns a lot of gold.
Exactly. So there's a lot of gold that's held. However, it does not necessarily mean that we spend it on a day-to-day basis. However, that is how it started out when we were trading gold, and then it went to silver, and then it went to bronze, and then copper, and then different kinds of precious metals that were traded all over the place until they proved that they were not. Well, actually, gold came later, I think, but until they proved that they were not. It was not that hard to mine them, and the beauty of Bitcoin is that we know it will not be any easier to mine in the future. Whereas something like gold, we started mining it and it was really difficult because we had to get a pickaxe with our hands and literally beat it out until the technology developed that it made it much easier to mine it. So it became less valuable because it was easier to mine. This is a technology that we know will get more difficult, not easier. And I say that with the asterisk.
That is built into the programming too.
Yes,
so,
exactly. So,
and I understand that that's a whole nother thing to dive into that we won't right now. But
exactly.
It does get more difficult to mine, not easier to mine. The more you go on.
So we will leave you with that. That is our relatively short spiel on why you should buy Bitcoin. This is Ian Callan. This is Shane.
And this is Shane Callan. Make sure that you tickle that like button. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you leave a comment in the section below. Let us know what you think or don't think is good or bad or whatever you want to go ahead and think about what we just said. So remember, this is all our opinion. And it is subject to change based off of what you guys think. So please leave a comment in the section below.
Leah, let us know your objections to buying Bitcoin. We want to know. There's always different kinds of ones. The biggest one we get are the energy ones and the application ones, I think. But let us know the random stuff that you hear. We love hearing it. So, all right, we'll see you next time.